So in stage one of enshittification, a platform is good to its end users, but it locks them in. So Facebook's a good example of this. In 2006, they wanted to expand beyond American college students, but they had a problem, which is that everyone who wanted social media already had an account on a rival service called MySpace. And so they needed to pitch those users. And they said, well, look, I don't know if you know this, but MySpace is owned by an evil, senescent, crapulent, Australian, immortal vampire billionaire named Rupert Murdoch, who spies on you with every hour that God sends. The last thing you want is social media that spies on you or is owned by a billionaire. Come use Facebook. And so we piled into Facebook and we locked ourselves in. You are there because your rare disease support group is there, or that's where your customers are, or your audience, or just like where you hang out with parents of your kids' football team so you can figure out the carpool. And so it's really hard to leave. And so once it's hard to leave, we go to stage two, make things worse for end users, make things better for businesses. And they go to the advertiser and they say, do you remember we told these numpties we weren't going to spy on them? Obviously a lie. We spy on them with every hour that God sends. Give us a remarkably small amount of money. We will target ads to them with absolute fidelity. And because we're skilled craftspeople who care about our trade, we're paying for a whole building full of engineers to fight ad fraud. And so the businesses get locked into the platform. We go to stage three, which is making things worse for them to make things better for the shareholders and the executives. Ad fraud goes through the roof. Procter & Gamble went from spending $200 million a year on surveillance ads to zero and saw a 0% drop in sales because $200 million was disappearing down the fraud hole. Prices went up, targeting fidelity went down, and so now you're in this brittle equilibrium where they've withdrawn all the value except for like a kind of homeopathic residue that's enough to keep us locked to each other and the platforms, the businesses locked to us. But like the difference between I hate this place but I can't seem to stop coming back to it, and I hate this place, I'm never coming back to it, is very thin. One live stream mass shooting or a big privacy scandal, we bolt for the exits, the shareholders panic, there's a mass sell-off, the tech bros panic, being tech bros, they have a technical term, they call it pivoting. And then one day, Mark Zuckerberg arises from his sarcophagus and says, hearken to me, brothers and sisters, for I've had a vision. I know I told you that your future consisted entirely of arguing with your most racist uncle using the primitive text interface I invented in my dorm room to non-consensually rate the fuckability of Harvard undergraduates. However, it turns out that the true future is that I'm going to convert you and everyone you love into a legless, sexless, low-polygon, heavily surveilled cartoon character so I can imprison you in a virtual world I stole from a 25-year-old dystopian cyberpunk novel called The Metaverse. And that's the final stage of enshittification. It's the giant pile of shit.